Hello and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. You join me tonight for another special guest interview, and this evening I'll be joined by Matt and Tamzin Henderson of Loke Battle Mats. If you're brand new to the channel, click the heart to follow the live Twitch stream weeknights Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 7 PM. Also, be sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon to receive notifications from YouTube for the latest videos and updates. And now, on with the show. Hello, Matt and Tamzin. Welcome to Monkeys with Fire.
Hi.
So, I guess what we'll do is we'll start our sort of little discussion tonight with what is a question I ask every guest who comes onto the channel. And I think it's very obvious from the wall of games and miniatures behind you that you are avid gamers. So what got you into the hobby? What got you into gaming?
A very long time ago for me. I think probably 8 or 9. But yeah, no, I remember we had a comic shop in Derby where I was growing up that used to have a role-play section and a big cabinet full of miniatures. And I just used to stare at it. I couldn't really afford any, but every so often save up, buy a piece, and then we had a Games Workshop open. I remember queuing up with my dad at about 5 AM for the grand opening and picking up the red box D&D basic set. And yeah, pretty much from there.
Right. Wow, excellent. And so you've just constantly been amassing great numbers of games and miniatures, it would seem, from the display that's behind you. It's very impressive.
Yeah, there's a few there. I don't think I've actually played everything there yet, but it's better to have it, and if you need it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how the business started. The first thing I've got to ask is, where does the name come from?
Loki actually was our old cat. Unfortunately, we lost him last year quite suddenly, but we were in a position where we had to think of a name for the company, and it's a lot harder than you might think. So we ended up naming it after the cat.
Can you tell us how the company started? Well, what was the initial idea and how did it grow from that?
Yes, it's been a crazy ride, actually. We started out, I'll pass you back to Matt in a second, who's responsible for a lot of this. We started off as a company which really specialised in X-Wing and tabletop wargaming mats. But Matt has been DMing his own game for 25 plus years, maybe going on 30. So yeah, without giving his age away too much. And it was a few years back now that his home game was moving away from theatre of the mind and more into tactical encounters with miniatures. And so that was the point that Matt started drawing encounter mats for his own games. What followed then was a Kickstarter where we redirected the company into drawing role-playing encounter mats. And that was back in 2017, that kicked. And then going on from that, we then developed into the book format. The Big Book of Battle Mats was our first, launching in 2018. We were incredibly fortunate enough to win the UK Games Expo's People's Choice Award for Best Accessory that year, which was a really big thing for us because that's the point where really things started to happen. And since that, we've been picked up into distribution so we can sell via shops, which is a massive milestone for any company. Absolutely. And we have launched another 8 or 9 books since that.
So the 2017 Kickstarter kind of got it all started on the RPG side, and then we went back to Kickstarter after coming up with the A4, so the big book, and from that we then ended up with the A3 size, which is the giant size, and did a sci-fi volume. And that Kickstarter we also did a limited sort of volume 2 book, which links into other things we've got this year. Right. More recently, we went to a modular format, so 2 books in a custom sort of 1 foot square page size that you can lay out in lots of different combinations.
Is that's the dungeon?
That's the dungeon, yeah.
Yes, we did take a look at that on the channel a good few months ago, and lots of incredibly positive comments from the chat as we sort of flicked through the many pages, trying to imagine the different scenes that possibly we could be acting out in the wonderful terrain and landscapes that are depicted within them. It was great. So, thanks. Matt, tell us, where does the design process start? How does the book start to come together?
So the very first one was, I suppose, a bit different because we had a raft of designs and we decided which ones we were going to adapt into the book format. Whereas now it starts with pen and paper. You start trying to work out what you want to be in there, sketch it out, and then start to develop them into the full-size maps. And trying to think, is there enough of a balance of different locations? Are things usable enough in lots of different situations? And, trying not to be too specific on too many maps so that they can be used in lots of people's games in lots of different ways, but still making them, interesting and different.
Do you ever find while you're designing a book that you want to add a little detail because you're imagining the scenario that you'd be telling in that scene?
It does, yeah, absolutely. And you've also got to put a bit of thought into making things work on the grid right, because it's things like corridors. A lot of the corridors end up being 2 squares wide, it's 10 foot, which is quite a nice big wide corridor. But you need enough space for characters to move around each other and for larger creatures to move around the place. So, you kind of have to consider the end use, not just, like accurate ancient buildings and things.
I mean, do you have a whole sort of list of ideas as far as different locations that you want to cover? Have you got like a checklist, and have you been slowly working your way through, or how does the decisions for what locations go into the book?
There is a list. Well, there's a couple of different lists, and sometimes it'll get picked and changed. Like maybe we'll be putting a book together and think, well, actually we've already got a number of say urban locations, so an idea will move off and go into a different book at some point. And we're trying to make sure that everything works in the modular format a lot more now as well. So a lot of forward planning has to go into making sure that a book done now can possibly work with what comes in the next sort of set books.
Okay, Tamzin, would you like to introduce your upcoming releases?
Well, this, as you're seeing on your screens, is the giant book of CyberPunk battle mats. This is also out with the big book of CyberPunk battle mats. Its release date is today. This is our latest release, and it's a really exciting one for us because we've actually got to produce a really fun set of colourful and vibrant cyberpunk, modern day and post-apocalyptic maps, and there are some really, really good RPGs out in the moment in all those genres, so we were really excited to have the chance to sit down and draw a set of maps to support those games. Matt had a lovely time drawing these. There's a lot of inspiration from what we're watching at the time, things like we're both huge fans of Altered Carbon, we watched a lot of that, which is what has led to a few of these maps coming out the way they have. And also in terms of the effects used, Matt's been really happy to develop some new techniques for this, and what we've got is a pretty unique look, I think, and like I said, we're very much happy with it. And they are released and available today in our usual 2 sizes. The big book is the A4 version and the giant book is the A3. And it's essentially the same set of maps, but in the larger book they are a bit more detailed to make use of the extra space.
Ah, right, excellent. Okay, so it's not just blown up in scale. There's little details added in extra. No,
Matt does redesign the entire book twice, as it were. So it'll be very similar maps, but the larger ones tend to have more details and obviously more space. But yeah, so it's made to work for that 5 foot to 1 inch ratio, which we stick with for all the books.
Shall we take a look inside then?
So yeah, that's lots of trying to play with the neon from a top-down perspective meant I had to try and essentially work it into puddles. So there's lots of patches that should look like wet ground, reflecting that neon back.
Sarah is just commenting, "Ooh, that's pretty," and Spring saying, "Oh, gorgeous."
So let's have a quick look. Yeah, so that one is, I think, Neon Streets is the name for that one. And it's mainly a couple of bits of rooftop, so you can have your snipers and the like around the place, and a nice big wide open street with a couple of corners and the like.
We'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, so this one here is Neon Crossing, I think. You'll find the word neons on a few of the street ones. So yeah, a large sort of plaza crossing area, subway entrance and the like. And I'm not sure if we sent you the picture of that, but there is a subway station on one of the page spreads as well. And there's some old Necromunda miniatures I think we've used on this photo shoot.
Right, yes, yeah. Yeah, this one does have a flight of stairs and what looks like, is it maybe an escalator going?
Yeah, so escalator and stairs for a subway.
We're just getting a question again from Amberden. Are you going to be doing any more of the static stickers? Because they were very useful.
Yeah, so the most recent Kickstarter we did, there are 3 sets associated with that. Those ones are all fantasy. So there's Town Trimmings, which is urban stickers for fantasy urban settings. Magic effects, so lots of colourful magical effects, walls of fire, walls of ice, like big circles of fire, that sort of thing. And War and Siege, which is battlefield debris, ruined elements of buildings, castle walls, siege engines, that sort of stuff. We've got in the pipeline at some point, we would like to do some sci-fi or cyberpunk stickers as well. We don't have any sort of date on that though, but it's definitely something we'd like to add.
Okay. Sarah's just saying, loving all the neons. Very colourful. Let's take a look at the next image.
So this one is Hat Block. So lots of apartments with a concourse around, like a nice big hole in the middle. And this one should be sized so that you can fit a full miniature base on the second rung down as well. So you could have people on different levels. Very The Raid, Judge Dredd inspired, I think, this one.
I was just going to say, sort of a mega city complex. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Take a look at the next.
That's one of the more post-apocalyptic maps. So in this set, we've got maps that should work for modern, cyberpunk, and for some post-apocalyptic games. They kind of all work for cyberpunk because there's always that rundown bit of what used to be downtown somewhere outside the shining megacorp bit, and that's what this bit's for. So trashed cars, ruined buildings, destroyed roads, all of that sort of stuff. Zombies or gangers, any of that sort of thing, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Sprink's just saying the multi-level design of the previous maps were too cool. Oh, okay. So we are moving on. We're leaving the sci-fi, going into the fantasy realm in that case.
Yes, this is our much-awaited Giant CyberPunk Battle Maps Volume 2 release. There was a Volume 2 we did back in the Kickstarter in 2018. This book is different to that. We have gone through it and we've updated all the maps and we've made it a bit more relevant to what's happened in the industry in the last 2 years. And I think we're pretty happy with how it's all come out. I mean, Matt's been locked away in his design studio for weeks. And weeks this year getting all the designs out for it. And we have to say, I think it's come out pretty well. But we'll have to see what you guys think of all the maps in there.
All right, well, let's take a look then.
This is one of the updated designs that we've done. So what we've done here is this is a fire temple. So there's a combination of sort of larger open areas where you can get the big base monsters out and also a few smaller areas where you can do some sneaking around. And we find in our designs that tends to be our style, is that there'll be larger areas and then there'll be more confined tactical spaces as well. We've updated the design on this so it matches in with the dungeon. So if you wanted to use it with our modular book set, the style and colour palette will match up quite nicely to that. And it's just, I think in terms of fantasy RPGs, there's a lot of fun to be had around fire. So we wanted to make sure that got a really good showing in this book. And I think we're pretty pleased that this one's come out.
Yes, this channel likes anything with copious amounts of fire on it. So yes, it's all good. You get the thumbs up from us.
Thank you very much.
All right. So here's a map with slightly less fire to it. So what's this one?
Well, yes, it currently has less fire on it, although hopefully once it gets out there into the wild, as it were, people can add their own fireballs as they see fit, and we certainly encourage them to do so. Once again, you can see on the right-hand page, we've gone for a set of smaller, more tactical rooms, so your party can go through exploring and hiding through there, with a larger encounter area on the opposing page. We often find in our games that we spend many happy hours hiding and trying to steal things from small rooms, and we always make sure we reflect that as well. But it's always good to have those bigger areas for the boss fights.
I'm just looking at all. Do they look like sort of crypts, maybe over on the left-hand page? Am I right in thinking that?
Yes, they are indeed. So I'm sure there'll be some very interesting things coming out of those in the future.
I can well imagine. Amberden's asking, how different is the new book 2 to the original Kickstarter version, which he already has?
Well, thank you very much for backing our Kickstarter. I'll just pass you back to Matt to answer that one.
So I think you might recognise the general layout and design here, because this one, it's in the original one, but the palette and the look of it's different. So this is now the same style we used throughout the dungeon, so updated with different sort of lighting elements and that. So that's happened to a lot of the maps. So the cave systems and things, they will now also match the modular books. And there's some maps which are completely changed. I think as we get nearer to the release date for this, we'll do a proper side-by-side, sort of show what all the pages were in the original and what they are in this one. Okay,
let's move on to the next.
So that one's a ship at sea, which I need to say very carefully. So this is another one that was in the original, but the ship has been redrawn, and there's more detail on there now.
Right, and so just interestingly, how long does it take then for you to put all the designs together for these books? I mean,
it can vary. I mean, I'd say a good day or two per map, depending on how things are going. But quite often they'll be I'll end up flitting between a whole section of maps and do similar bits of work on 5 or 6 at a time. So it'll seem like it's taking a long time, but then they'll all start to kind of get ready and finish off at about the same sort of time. So hard to say how long for an individual one, but there's some time and effort.
Amberden's just following on saying, I've backed all of the books, waiting for the new town Kickstarter to be delivered.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've got the factory samples for towns and taverns, and it looks nice.
All right, let's.
In fact, there's one there.
That's just teasing.
So this one's Mountain Pass. So this is another one updated from the original Volume 2. I've got a snow texture there, which I think we've used in another one on this one as well. But lots of windy, twisty sort of paths, so you can attack people lower than you. And there's a cave nestled in there on the right-hand page as well, just so that something can come out and greet you after climbing up a nice bit of mountain.
Yes, I can imagine a very cold fellowship trying to wind its way to safety, maybe.
Yep. Before having to give up and then go underneath.
Yeah. So there we go. So that is the last from the book Volume 2 there. So are you planning on diversifying to other types of product, or are you sticking with maps?
We have got plans to bring out a board. So again, it's a laminated surface with a gridded design underneath. In many ways, it's an alternative to your standard rollout mat. And essentially, that's just for ease of cleaning, and also because it works well with our laminated stickers or static clings, so you can use those as well. But we find, again, because Matt tends to travel for his games, that anything which will fit in a backpack is a good thing. And we find that a board is a bit more practical than a roll-up mat. So we have got one of those in development at the moment, although we're hoping to get that around the end of the year.
Right, excellent. Just referring back then to the, was it the towns and taverns, I think you mentioned? Do you have a fulfillment date for that?
Yes, we've said December on that Kickstarter. We are currently, it's very hard, the world being as it is at the moment. It's throwing up a lot of unexpected surprises. If everything was normal, I'd say we'd be quite happily early. We've put a lot of time into our estimates on that to try and get it out by December, and we're pretty confident we will be able to. And that it'll be out in the shops in the new year, 2021.
Matt and Tamzin, thank you for joining me on the channel this evening. It's been a pleasure to meet you and to learn how Loki Battle Mats was created and looking at your new releases for this year.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be.
And hopefully I look forward to meeting you at the Games Expo next year when hopefully everything is all working and we can have conventions again, yeah?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Excellent. All right, then, guys, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your evening.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay, bye for now. So our thanks to Matt and Tamzin from Loki Battle Mats for this evening's interview and product showcase. You can check out their entire range of fantastic battle mat books using the link below. Be sure to tune in to the live Twitch channel for other exciting and exclusive interviews and product reveals. But until next time, bye for now.